Hello, everyone. My name is Jacob Fortin. I'm the host of this podcast, Doers Within Emerging Markets. And I just want to share my experience with using Anchor so far. When the pandemic started, I thought about starting a podcast, and the whole idea was to bring in some really amazing folks that are doing some great work in their respective industries within the emerging markets. And the Anchor platform really helped me get the word out there and also just make it a lot easier for me to invite the guest and just share the amazing experiences they've had and the amazing work they're doing in their respective industries within the emerging markets. So it's pretty fun. You don't even worry about the technical part of making a podcast. You actually just focus more on the content. And Anchor has done it really well for me. So I will highly encourage anybody who is trying to start a podcast to try to use. Just check out Anchor, and I think you won't regret it. I'm not a technical person, but if you listen to these episodes that I've been publishing so far, it seems like I know what the technical part of it, but Anchor helps you take care of the technical part, and you just focus on the content. So feel free to check it out. I highly encourage. You won't regret it, and it's right there. You don't pay anything. So in times like this, I think starting a podcast and getting the word out there, irrespective of what you're doing, will be a really great experience. So thank you guys for listening to my episodes. Please check out Anchor, and you will have a great time. So cheers, guys, and see you guys next episode. Thanks. For your company, how are you guys trying to, what are some of the tools, or how are you guys as a company, you and your company, trying to identify and track counterfeit drugs?
Yes, so RxAll is known as being the pioneer of in situ drug checking globally. When we commercially started talking about this product, there was literally no one else in the market. And we build a product around the African customer and the issues they have. The fact that you don't know what's in front of you when you're given a medicine, or you buy a medicine, you import a medicine, is the heart of the problem. On top of that, the fact that you don't know who is supplying the bad medicines,
Exactly.
where those bad medicines are showing up, makes it difficult to even solve the problem. So that's why our very first product, the Rx Scanner, really helps address this issue. On the one hand, it's a tool for regulators, hospitals, pharmacies, wholesalers, and even some patients to be able to authenticate the medicines that is in front of them, or being imported or supplied to them. But even more importantly, the data that we're generating is providing information in real time about what drugs are bad, what batches are bad, what manufacturers are complicit or being affected the most. And this is real-time data that potentially can help the regulators be more smart about how they target their interventions. That's the primary product that we have. Well, as I said, we're deep tech organizations where we've come from research, from R&D.
Yes.
We're always researching, trying to find out how can we improve. We're always listening to customers. And we found out that the patients were saying, hey, I might not have the ability to do my own testing, but can you point me to those who are doing the testing?
Yes.
So we created a marketplace platform called Rx Delivered.
Yes.
You can go on that marketplace platform and find wholesalers, hospitals, and pharmacies that have already done the testing already.
Mm-hmm.
Go there and get your pre-tested medicines from them. So that's how we built our solution. There's a number of other products we have as well, but the two core products are this.
That's great. And I do know, you have Nigeria, that it's a very multifaceted, country in all regards, right? From the political space, economic space. Then you have places like Uganda, that is a little bit, and I would say it's not as developed as Nigeria. So you have all these markets in Africa. How have you guys adjusted to each country to make sure that you are adapting to the local ecosystem? and building products, or even curating your products in a way that fits into the local needs, right? How has that been like? And if you can share a little bit of that, that'll be really nice.
The advantage we have is our dominance in Nigeria. As you said, Nigeria is multifaceted.
Yep.
Every single culture in Africa is represented in Nigeria. The different behaviors, the different tastes, different interests across Nigeria. Nigeria represents a microcosm of the entire continent. Perhaps the only thing we don't get is a bit of the Francophone influence.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
That's just a bit, but even that, it's in terms of how Africans and their tastes are, is pretty uniform across board.
Mm-hmm.
Cultures are very similar. We're mostly in sub-Saharan Africa, we're mostly of the Bantu stock. And even those who are not of the Bantu stock are very closely related, their behaviors, their expectations as well. So having learned the Nigerian market, it's given us the opportunity to be able to know how to engage with a few other markets on the continent. As at this time, most of our other operations are in the English-speaking parts of Africa. And the benefit this has for us is that because of the colonial legacy, their healthcare systems are actually structured very similarly. They have the same way in which the pharmaceutical industry is structured. They have the same regulatory agents. They have the same, that is mostly the same across board, from regulators to the professional councils, so that's made it very easy for us to scale into new markets. The only thing that differs a bit is that some countries might have a second requirement in terms of language. So English is not the only one. There's some other people who prefer to speak in or use Swahili as well. But across board, it's very easy. It's been very easy for us to scale because the needs are the same. The budgetary issues are the same. The fact that Nigeria is bigger actually does not mean it has more resources allocated to health than Uganda does. Probably even has less per head because of the population size. Right.
Yep.
So the fact that we can do well in Nigeria and we're able to cater to that market that is also super price sensitive, makes it easier for us to be able to do and scale in the other markets. Now, there is a few differences that we need to adapt contextually.
Exactly. That's my next question.
Yeah, in each market that we're in, right? So it's more related to how do you engage. It's mostly cultural than anything else. It's not necessarily tied. The product is mostly the same. The only thing that would change would be the price points, the fact maybe they want like a second language, or they want might have maybe leasing requirements that are not asked for in Nigeria that other markets are used to. But I would say the biggest difference is more cultural. So in some markets, you would need to come in with a local partner. Otherwise, you can't get anywhere. So other markets, you want to come in alone, But at the heart of it, at the end of the day, the one thing that unifies all of the countries we operate in is the hierarchical nature. The fact that at the end, it's all somewhere at the top that needs to make the final decision. Especially when you're dealing, across board, and when we're dealing with the hospitals, pharmacy, even the government regulators. At the end of the day, you're dealing with the CEO, the directors general, and they're the ones who then give the go ahead, and then that then flows down the command chain. So definitely. I would say that's how I see it. That's how our experience has been in our work on the continent.
That makes a lot of sense. One thing that is always said: if you can make it in Nigeria, you can make it. You can make it anywhere in Africa.
Yes, that's true.
No, definitely. So, what do you think are the current trends? You have built this very innovative company for entrepreneurs out there, and investors. So, by the way, if you want to pitch investors as well, you can do this on this podcast.
Lovely.
What are the current trends that you think investors should be looking at, as well as entrepreneurs who don't necessarily want to compete with you, but things that we should be thinking about as we try to disrupt or create opportunities for people to have access to healthcare in Africa? Anything that you have in mind to share with us, we'll greatly appreciate, as well as the audience.
Well, if you're interested in enabling healthcare in Africa, invest in RxAll. Come and work with RxAll.
Definitely.
RxAll is a platform that's combining all the trends for healthcare in one. If you look at what we're doing, those are the trends.
Yep.
That's literally what the trends are. And we're going to be the biggest platform for healthcare, at least in the pharmaceutical space, across the continent. But outside of the pharma space, maybe just more broadly, in terms of, I always like to talk more about, I usually don't like to go with the word trends when discussing opportunities. I like to see where the problem is.
Definitely.
Because if you're going with a trend, you're not really after a mission. You're just trying to be like others. I think part of every company should be the mission. What is the problem you're trying to solve?
Yep.
How credible are you to solve that problem? Have you experienced the problem? Or even if you haven't experienced the problem, have you taken out the time to sit down with those who have experienced the problem to learn from them and try to build something?
Yep.
Once it comes to a trend, that's where you see all the vultures across the world coming in and saying, they're as well African entrepreneurs too, when they haven't even spent 1 minute on the continent. So I like to look at the problem in terms of where the problems and what's the opportunity that can come from that. The defining issue of Africa at the moment is our youth bulge. 60% of the continent is less than 19 years old. And what are the kind of issues that young people have with healthcare? Right?
Yes. Yeah.
So sexual health is a big one. Family planning is another one.
Yes.
Then when we look at the westernization of the young people and the diets, there's a number of chronic conditions that come with that. Tension, especially given the fact that Africans don't do well with salt. We're eating and consuming salted fries and chicken, boatloads, especially among the young people. There's obesity, diabetes and hypertension. I think I already mentioned that.
Yeah.
And the fast-paced and social media-driven age of comparing ourselves with other people, mental health is also another big thing. Those, I would say, are the broad issues we have, or opportunities that are there. Now, the thing is that we have this youth bulge, but we don't have enough doctors or pharmacists or health professionals to service them. And in fact, even the ones we have, they're all leaving the continent, being poached by Canada and co. Literally everyone I know in my medical and pharmacy class in 2008, say more than 70% are not in Nigeria anymore. And so we're literally producing health professionals and sending them out. So that creates an opportunity to leverage tech. You don't have enough people who can attend to young people in person. And young people are super native in terms of digital. Then how can you use digital platforms, telemedicine, machine learning or AI, to address these issues that I have mentioned, right? So I do think that's where the opportunities lie. And obviously the business models and structures around that, investors like that, because the they tend to see it as scalable. I think the phase one for RxAll has been looking more like a utility or infrastructure company, wherein we are spreading across the country and we're trying to make sure people have access, omni-channel, whether on their phones, in person, by WhatsApp, But RxAll by itself is moving to a 2.0, wherein all these things I just mentioned, we have products for them on our platform. We have doctors and pharmacists that are doing telemedicine over the platform. And we even have machine learning algorithms that do the diagnosis or the triage upfront, then pass you on to a pharmacist or doctor, and you can generate a prescription on the platform. You can get it shipped out to you, or you pick it up from any of our network of pharmacies. Right. So on top of the 1.0 we've built, we're building this 2.0 of pure digital interface to connect with young people. So that's the trend, and those are the opportunities.
Definitely. I mean, that's why I invited you to this podcast. You're worth investing in, and down the road, I myself would love to invest in RX or as you build these incredible platforms. Great challenges, and I thanks for iterating rather than trends, problems is the way you have to think about it. And I think your company is in the right track based on what I've observed from you reading your profile and also the work that you have been doing. And I'll give a major shout out to all the investors out there listening to the podcast. You should check him out. He has a Wikipedia page. So it's a very smart young man, and he's doing some incredible work on the African continent. So wrapping up this amazing episode, for you to just give us a sense of how do we build a healthcare platform that is sustainable for the future, right? That's equitable, sustainable for everyone to be to have access to healthcare, bringing that into perspective. We have so many moving pieces. The political climate sometimes is not assured. Things might turn over sooner than we thought. We have all these moving pieces. Technology is a very great tool for us to use, but how do we ensure that we can actually sustain some of these innovations that you're doing, and we build something for generations? If you have any thoughts on that, we'll love to hear from what you have to say.
Yeah, I mean, to address that question about health tech, we're speaking about health tech and sustainability, building sustainable health tech platforms, right? I always like to use the analogy of what are the most successful countries that you know of in terms of public healthcare. The countries that most talk about will be Canada or the Scandinavian countries, Norway, Denmark, etc. And if you look at the public health system, it's all built on a community approach.
Yes.
Every adult contributes to it. So irrespective of income level, you have access. I think learning that and building that as the core of any health tech platform is important. And I believe that's what differentiates RxAll from many others. Because we're not trying to build a platform that is just for the top 1%. Maybe investors would like that, but we're not about that. And that's, we also self-select investors that we want. On the investors to understand that healthcare is patient, it's long-term, and it has to have an impact motive around it.
Exactly.
Right? Exactly. So at the heart of healthcare is the base. You must build a platform that is broadly based. Every income group, every age group, every gender.
Yes, exactly.
And really what you're doing is fine-tuning different pieces to help you continue to achieve that balance. Sustainability at the end of the day is your revenue minus your cost.
Yes.
Sustainability is you being able to cover your cost.
Yes.
from the profits you generate from your revenue.
Exactly.
So the best way to cover your cost is to be able to generate revenue from a broad range of people. The profit margins might be different. Some groups that can afford it, you probably want to charge them more. You see that in the Scandinavian model as well. Some groups that cannot afford it, you probably even want to give them free of charge. So that's how you then calibrate to achieve sustainability. I think that would just be my takeaway. I know for many health tech entrepreneurs, we're always struggling with this question.
Mm-hmm.
Many health tech entrepreneurs also struggle to raise the capital that they fully deserve.
Yes.
Solve the problems. But I do think that as entrepreneurs, if we address these issues, as I've posited,
mm-hmm.
and it's not just in terms of how we're building, also in terms of how we're fundraising as well.
Yes.
We should also make that broad. We should get in grant funding, government funding, corporate funding, VC funding,
yes,
customer funding, supplier funding. That's how you build a sustainable health.
Definitely. I feel like, this is so much, just like a lecture, but a very interesting lecture I attended. And for all our viewers out there, Adebayo is quite the pinnacle of what I myself think of an African who wants to make Africa better, not just better, but prosperous. And healthcare is a very important aspect of Africa. And he took that risk to build something as incredible as RxAll. And as you guys have heard, if you're just joining now, it's Adebayo, co-founder of RxAll. He has already shared some great insights on healthcare, counterfeit drugs, what RxAll is doing. Truly incredible, inspiring young man, pinnacle of what Africa has to be like. And it's just an honor to have you here at Adebayo. And I just, as a close-up, what do you envision as for you in terms of if people want to join your platform, either as investors, and I know we've iterated that already, if someone wants to join your team, if you're looking for new employees, or if you're looking for investors, what is your final pitch to them as we close up this episode?
I would say this is the best time to join RxAll. We are dominant in our primary market in Nigeria. We've expanded into new markets where we are growing our market share very rapidly. I think the time to join the founding team is almost nearing its end. And we're growing really fast. And I think we're about to start the next phase of the company's stage, where it goes beyond just the founders. Now it's a community's property.
Exactly.
So I think for investors, the price we're offering you now, or you get now on RxAll, will be the lowest you'll ever get. So if it's best if you're interested, you join us now.
Awesome.
However, we'll continue to grow and build up our markets across the continent. So we are looking for joint venture partners in the various markets in Africa, especially the speaking ones, as we begin to expand into those markets. And definitely the investors and colleagues that will join us to help us achieve our mission will be across the continent, and will be the dominant health platform for accessing authenticated quality medicines.
Well said. Thank you so much, Adebayo. Thanks for your time. Love to have you back once you have raised some money, or you have scaled to new markets. We really appreciate your time. It's such an honor for you to be here. I'm sure the listeners will be elated to hear your story, specifically on RxAll, and how you've been thinking about healthcare drugs, counterfeit drugs, and how your platform is making a difference on the continent. So I really, really want to thank you so much. I know this meetup was not planned, but it's such an honor to have you. And I'm hopeful that the podcast will share your story and invite some amazing people to join your platform. So thank you so much for your time. And I really appreciate you.
Thank you so much, Jacob. I really appreciate your time as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. To all you guys out there, Adebayo Alonge, co-founder of RxAll Incorporated, and CEO as well, and we're with him this episode. So please check it out, and I'll see you guys in the next episode. Take care, everyone.